All right. Let's see, we have all the board members present. So I call the December 4th, 2023 regular meeting of the Union County Board of Commissioners to order pursuant to the board's precedent. The county manager is the presiding officer at the first regular meeting in December until election and oath of the officer of chair and vice chair is complete. At this time, I'd also like to recognize Commissioner Merrill for the invocation.
Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for this holiday season that we are anxiously awaiting to celebrate your birth, Lord. And we ask you for guidance and wisdom and strength to do your will and to always be a listener to the people that we represent. We ask for you to be with us as we celebrate this holiday season and protect all those in Union County and keep us safe. And we ask all this in your name. Amen.
Amen. Could you please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance, please? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Have just a couple of administrative items I want to talk about first before we get into the election of the officers. First, I need for the public to be aware. Previously, there was the intention of having a public hearing on this particular meeting of CZ 2023-001 McManus property. The applicant has withdrawn their application. Because of that, there is no authority for the board to hold a public hearing for that particular item. However, I want to make it clear that that has the same effect as a denial. When the board turns down a rezoning application, that applicant, that property owner, cannot come back and submit the same application or very similar application for consideration for 12 months. When they withdraw their application at this point in the process, it has the same effect. They cannot bring the application back for another 12 months. It cannot be the same or very similar. So I just want to make that clear. There will be no public hearing on that particular item because of that withdrawal. Also need the board to be aware that there is an item that is on consent. It is 23807. It is an NCDOT contract. That item does need to be removed from consent, so when you get to that item, of course, the chair will take care of that. We don't have all of that contract information at this particular time. We anticipated we would have it by this meeting. We do not, so we'll need to have that removed. That will likely be on your December 18th meeting, so just to make you aware of those two items that are administrative in nature. Any questions about those particular items? All right, after that, and then we'll go into the rest of it. So the next item on the agenda is the election of officers pursuant to North Carolina General Statutes 153A-39 and the board's rules. The board shall elect a chair and vice chair for the next year at this first regular meeting in December and each of the odd numbered years. The chair position will be considered first and then the vice chair. I will open the floor for nominations for the position of chair. The nominations will be voted on in the order in which they are received, and the first nominee to receive a majority of votes will be appointed as chair. So I will open it up for nominations at this time. Yes,
Mr. Manager, I would like to nominate J.R. Rowell for the position of chair.
okay. Are there any additional nominations? All right, we're hearing none. Let's go ahead and move to the vote for that. So the first nomination as chair is Commissioner Rowell, J.R. Rowell. All those in favor of nomination, please say aye.
Aye.
All right, well, that's unanimous then. All right. So congratulations, Mr. Rowell as chair. We'll move into the item for the vice chair. So now I open the item for nominations for the position of vice chair. Does anyone want to make those nominations?
Mr. County Manager, I nominate Brian Helms to be vice chair.
Okay. Any additional nominations? All right, hearing none, then the nominations are closed. We'll take a vote on that. So all those in favor of the nomination of Brian Helms for vice chair, please say aye.
Aye.
All right. All those opposed? Nay. All right, I see one. Just want to make sure that's one. Okay. All right. Congratulations, Mr. Helms, you're vice chair. And at this point in time, let's see what we got here. So to move forward with the actual oaths of office. So Lynn, if you can do those official oaths of office for the chair and for the vice chair for us.
Your left hand on the Bible, raise your right hand, please. You, J.R. Rowell, solemnly swear that you will support and maintain the Constitution and laws of the United States and the Constitution and laws of North Carolina, not inconsistent therewith, and that you will faithfully discharge the duties of your office as Chair of the Board of Commissioners for the County of Union, so help you God.
I do.
You, J.R. Rowell, solemnly and sincerely swear that you will support the Constitution of the United States, that you will be faithful and bear true allegiance to the state of North Carolina, and to the constitutional powers and authorities which are or may be established for the government thereof, and that you will endeavor to support, maintain, and defend the Constitution of said state, not inconsistent with the Constitution of the United States, to the best of your knowledge and ability, so help you God.
I do.
You, J.R. Rowell, swear that you will well and truly execute the duties of the office of Chair of the Board of Commissioners for the County of Union according to the best of your skill and ability, according to law, so help you God.
I do.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much. Mr. Helms? Thank you.
And on the Bible, raise your right hand. You, Brian W. Helms, solemnly swear that you will support and maintain the Constitution and laws of the United States and the Constitution and laws of North Carolina, not inconsistent therewith, and that you will faithfully discharge the duties of your office as Vice Chair of the Board of Commissioners for the County of Union, so help you God.
I do.
You, Brian W. Helms, solemnly and sincerely swear that you will support the Constitution of the United States, that you will be faithful and bear true allegiance to the state of North Carolina, and to the constitutional powers and authorities which are or may be established to the government thereof, and that you will endeavor to support, maintain, and defend the Constitution of the state, not inconsistent with the Constitution of the United States, to the best of your knowledge and ability, so help you God.
I do.
You, Brian W. Helms, swear that you will well and truly execute the duties of the office of Vice Chair of the Board of Commissioners for the County of Union, according to the best of your skill and ability, according to law, so help you God.
I do.
Sign this.
If everyone wouldn't mind joining me in congratulating Mr. Rao and Commissioner. Chairman Ryle, with the officers now elected and duly sworn, I turn the meeting over to you. Thank God.
Thank you, sir. The next item on the agenda is elected officials' bonds. Pursuant to the statute, the sheriff and the register of deeds are required to maintain personal bonds while in office. The individuals are responsible for securing these bonds. Union County has undertaken responsibility for bond placement. The action requested is for the approval of a bond for the sheriff in the amount of $5,000 and for the register of deeds in the amount of $25,000. Is there a motion to approve these bonds?
Mr. Chairman, I'll make that motion to approve bonds for both sheriff and register of deeds in the amounts of $5,000 and $25,000 respectively.
Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Next on our agenda is the employee bonds. Pursuant to statute, the finance director and the tax administrator are required to maintain personal bonds while in office. The individuals are responsible for securing these bonds. Union County has undertaken responsibility for bond placement. The action requested is for the approval of a bond for the finance director in the amount of $1 million and for the tax administrator in the amount of $60,000. Is there a motion to approve these bonds?
Motion to
Commissioner
approve as presented.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
The next item on the agenda is informal comments from the community. Madam Clerk, has anyone signed up to speak for informal comments?
Yes, sir. We have one person who signed in online, and then we have three. That person has also signed on there as well.
Okay. All right. The first person to speak is Abigail Prado. Also, we have Jen Sanders, Harold Schumacher, and Carolyn Burrows. Each speaker must address the board from the lectern and begin their remarks by giving their name, stating whether they are residents of Union County, indicating the municipality within which they reside, if any. Each speaker will have 3 minutes to make remarks. A tone may sound at the conclusion of your remarks. A speaker may not yield any of his or her time to another speaker. Speakers may not discuss matters which are the subject of public hearings, and they must be courteous in their language and presentation. Restatements or repetitive comments by the same speaker, whether at the same or separate meetings, may be ruled out of order and terminated by the chair. Personal attacks will not be tolerated. Speakers may leave written comments and or supporting documents, if any, with the clerk to the board. All right, first we have Abigail Prado.
Good evening. My name is Abigail Prado, and I'm a resident of Waxhaw, North Carolina. Tonight, I would like to discuss the dangers associated with the fluoridation of our drinking water and address the ethical concerns surrounding the lack of medical consent. To begin, it is essential to recognize that fluoride is a byproduct of various industrial processes and is often derived from the phosphate fertilizer industry. In fact, the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention classify fluoride as medical waste. A study published in the Journal of the American Medical Association in 2012 found that fluoride intake can lead to dental fluorosis, a condition characterized by discoloration and pitting of the teeth. Additionally, the same study suggested that high levels of fluoride exposure can also result in skeletal fluorosis, a condition that causes pain, stiffness, and a debilitating weakness in joints and bones. The Journal of Epidemiology and Community Health found a link between fluoride exposure and increased risk of hypothyroidism, a condition where the thyroid gland fails to produce enough hormones, as well as disruption of healthy thyroid function. Finally, a review in the Environmental Health Perspectives found that exposure to fluoride in early childhood can lead to cognitive delays and negatively impact a child's learning abilities and overall IQ. In regards to the ethical concerns surrounding the lack of medical consent, fluoridation of water is a mass medical treatment approach that affects an entire population, regardless of individual medical needs or preferences. This raises serious questions about the right to informed consent and the autonomy of individuals to make informed decisions about their own health. Informed consent is a fundamental principle in medical ethics. It requires that individuals have access to accurate and comprehensive information about any medical treatment or intervention they may undergo. However, when it comes to water fluoridation, individuals are not given the opportunity to provide consent or make an informed choice. This lack of autonomy and control over their own bodies is a matter of significant ethical concern. In conclusion, the dangers of fluoride in drinking water cannot be ignored. Citing reputable medical journals, there is significant evidence of potential health risk associated with its consumption. And perhaps even more importantly, the ethical concerns surrounding the lack of medical consent in water fluoridation highlight the need for a reassessment of the practice. It is crucial that we prioritize individual autonomy and informed consent when it comes to matters of public health and safety. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Prado. Our next speaker is Jen Sanders.
Hello, everyone. Welcome. Hello, everyone. I just wanted to first say congratulations to Mr. Rowell and Mr. Helms for your chair positions today. So congratulations. So I have some interesting facts. So food pantries are being visited by more people than ever currently right now in our local communities. Affordable housing, have you even looked lately? You can't find a house less than $200,000 where we currently live. We have a homeless population that needs service to help them get out of the cold and to start anew. Our foster system is overrun with lack of homes for children to be placed in. And we have water and sewer issues from the rapid growth in Union County. But yet we're choosing to focus on drag shows and whether LGBTQ communities can meet at a park on a yearly event called a festival. Again, priorities. I might add that if you do not want to engage, then you don't need to go. I see that it was added to the agenda, so that should be interesting. But let's talk about something that I would like to circle back to. So back in September, we know what happened with the public libraries. In October, we came and spoke in front of you, and Ms. Merrill had said that she would address the conversation about opening the public library rooms back to the public taxpaying citizens. That's who we are. So I'm just here to ask you guys to put that back on the agenda and make that available. All rooms to anyone who pays taxes in Union County for the simple fact that it's publicly funded buildings where we live, and that we would like access to them, and not just organizations like the NAACP or Union County Pride, but other organizations, Boy Scouts of America, Girl Scouts, your local organizations, your food pantry, Common Heart. Other people and organizations would like to use that room, and if we pay the taxes and we pay for the buildings to be built, like the new one in Waxhaw, it would be really great if we could actually access them. And while we're on top of it, I'd really like for us to stop banning books. Have a great day, everyone.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am. Our next speaker is Harold, and is that Shoemaker? All right. Thank you, sir.
Good evening. Harold Shoemaker in Waxhaw. I spoke to you guys in September about fluoride, and I've learned some new information I want to share with you. First, I want to thank you guys for your willingness to look at this issue. So it's very much appreciated, and just want to give you my heartfelt thanks for that. So one of the books I've read is by Christopher Bryson. He's an investigative reporter who enlisted the help of librarians, researchers around the country to help him find archived, declassified, and FOIA documents in regard to the government role in fluoride. This was an eye-opener. The element fluorine is at the top of the periodic table. It has 9 positively charged protons and only 3 electrons. As a result, fluorine is unstable and highly reactive and takes electrons from other elements, which is why fluorine acts violently with most organic compounds. It can cut through steel like butter, it can burn asbestos, and it's used to enrich uranium. The Manhattan Project needed massive amounts of fluoride to enrich uranium to build the first atomic bombs. The needed the military contracted with steel companies to enrich the uranium for them. Fluoride gas would be released at night into the air to keep it hidden from the public. This had caused immense damage to crops, livestock, and people. Protecting fluoride became a matter of national security in spite of the damage it was causing. The single largest pollution disaster happened in 1949 when a temperature inversion trapped fluoride in the nearby town. 6,000 people sought medical attention and 20 people died. Whether it was farmers suing for damage to their crops or animals, or it was workers suing for injuries received in manufacturing plants, the military worked in the background to successfully help industry fight off those lawsuits. They also influenced other areas of government. When the FDA was going to ban produce in the region close to one of the plants due to high levels of fluorine, the military stepped in and convinced the FDA to stand down. There were two main reasons that the military backed adding fluoride to the public water supply. The military wanted human testing done on how much fluoride could be tolerated, and they did other experiments like injecting plutonium into unsuspecting hospital patients. The second reason was that it could be used to help defend lawsuits. Industry defense attorneys could then point out the public water fluoridation policies and propaganda to fight the claim that it was dangerous. The CDC calling fluoride one of the top, adding fluoride to the public water supply one of the top health accomplishments is one example of how government continues to create propaganda designed to protect fluoride. Instead of giving the industry the benefit of the doubt in Union County, I'd like to ask you to give the benefit of the doubt to the people and immediately, halt the adding of fluoride to our water, and just for the benefit of the people, because I think what government has done is just way over the top and over the line throughout history in this area. So thank you very much. I really appreciate your time.
Thank you, sir. Our next speaker is Carolyn Burrows.
Good evening, Commissioners, and congratulations to the officers. My name is Carolyn Burrows. I live in the Alton community, and I've been in Union County for over 30 years. I recently left a packet for the Commissioners asking that you reopen the short water line project, because specifically for my road, of course. But I also mentioned in that packet that there were two businesses that really needed to benefit from this water supply. And so I've recently learned that there's a third one that's very close there to our road, and that I know that you would like to support the small businesses in this community, and they have been there for a long, long time. So thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Burrows. The next item on our agenda is item 23797, Service Award Recognition. I will now recognize Julie Broom, Human Resources Director, for this item.
Good evening, Commissioners. We recently held our final 2023 Service Award ceremony for employees that were recognized for meeting milestones in the months of October, November, and December. Specifically, we had 19 5-year recipients, 19 10-year recipients, 4 15-year recipients, 5 20-year recipients, and 1 25-year recipient. We were able to recognize about 30 of those individuals during this ceremony. We are grateful to have the opportunity to have these ceremonies so that we can personally thank employees for their service, their dedication, their contributions to Union County. And we do have a short video for you this evening so that you can see some moments from that Service Awards ceremony and also hear from some employees personally about their experience working with Union County. Thank you. Thank you for joining us this morning for our fourth quarter Service Award program.
You don't stay at 911 for 5 years without any passion and drive to do it. We're fortunate that you chose our department to join. So Jerry, thank you very much. 5 great years. Appreciate it. Hope you have many more.
I absolutely love everything about my job. Helping anyone that calls into the 911 center, pointing them in the right direction or sending them the help that they need. That's what I love the most. Union County exudes friendliness, the slower, more casual pace, People care about each other here.
Thank you, Phoebe.
Megan is always all in, and that's amazing.
I think what I like most about working here is the fact that you get a unique behind-the-scenes kind of look at what it takes to run a local government. Stuff that most people don't get to see and that most people don't think about. Almost everything within Union County comes from the county government, and you don't, I guess, think about that all the time. Sometimes you think about the local town or the state, certainly the federal, but how much of an impact you can make. I'll say it's a great place to work. You know, it's got good benefits and the pay is fair, I feel like, all of those options. But I think the biggest thing for me is the impact that you get to make. You get to feel like you're doing something to help everyone that you live near, that you see every day.
I have thoughts, she takes care of the rest. Sometimes she tells me after the fact that I've had a thought that I didn't even know about. She just took care of it.
I always say that social work is a calling, and Elisa has truly answered that calling. Elisa's very dedicated, and she's committed to child welfare services and the children that we serve here. And I just want to thank her for all of her service. Thank you, Elisa.
In order to be a great social worker, you have to have a servant's heart. If you don't have that, you're not going to succeed in this job. It's a thankless job. We do, so much for the kids that we serve. There's just so many things that could happen, and in order to be a good social worker, you have to not think about getting home and cooking dinner. You have to think about that child that's in your office with no place to go and just making sure that they're taken care of.
And congratulations on your 5 years, and I look forward to many more.
You guys have no idea how much Dawn coordinates in our office. She is like the central point of all of our work. Dawn, thank you and congratulations.
As someone today that actually was receiving an award, it makes you feel good that you're being seen for what you do, and also for being recognized and you're appreciated.
I enjoy hearing what you have to say about your coworkers. It's very obvious that you care about the people you work with and work for. You have a lot of respect, you have a lot of appreciation, and I say this, you're like a family, and I think we are a family, honestly. And so for me, I appreciate what you do. I'm so proud that you're here in this organization. I'm very proud of the work that you do. You are what actually makes this place a great place to be. And thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Broom. I personally want to say thank you to all the great county employees. I tell you, I'm going to give you a standing ovation. You deserve it. And congratulations to all those receiving service awards. I mean, I worked in government a long time. It takes some stick-to-itiveness. I'm not sure if that's a word, but it takes some of that to make it sometimes, to keep going. It takes determination, and I really appreciate what you've done in the years you've served. The next matter on the agenda is item 23800, recognition of Lifesaver Award recipients. I'll recognize Clayton Voignier. Did I say your right name, sir? Voignier. I recognize Clayton Voignier, Assistant County Manager, for this presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Tonight it's my pleasure to recognize another one of our employees who received our Lifesaver Award recently. Wendell Roberts is one of our facilities employees, and back in October he was having lunch at a local restaurant when one of the employees there suffered from a seizure. She fell and hit her head. Because of Wendell's quick thinking and quick action, he was able to provide support to that person and assist them until other first responders arrived. And he is very proud himself of being a first responder because he recently completed his EMT as part of his role as a volunteer firefighter. And we are just very proud of Wendell and happy to have him. He helps us manage all the assets in our facilities, and he's sort of a jack of all trades and can do a lot for us. So it's my pleasure tonight to ask him to come forward and be recognized tonight.
Questions, sir?
Okay, count of three. 1, 2, 3. Thank you.
May I just say, I appreciate this award. It's not an individual thing, though. There's many people in this room, first responders. I recognize my sheriff's department deputies, the emergency communication people that Jared just spoke. I've got 2 of my Pageland fire members with us, chief and information.
Let's noise, we should all know.
It takes a team, and that's what we have here. And so I appreciate being a part of our great team. Thank you, sir.
Okay, I'm going to grow off script here. I meant to do this earlier. I'm getting older and I can't remember things like I used to. This last year that passed, Commissioner Merrill served as our vice chair. She was elected in that position last December, and she served until August when the former chair, Commissioner Stoney Rushing, passed away unexpectedly. I'm going to try to get through this without getting too emotional. But, you know, being vice chair and being thrown into that role is tough enough like it is, but unexpectedly she was requested or had to serve as chair. I personally appreciate what you did. It's not easy to do, especially under those circumstances. It's been a tough year for this board, but you helped us get us through. I appreciate what you did. That's just personally for me, and I know these board members feel that way. So thank you for everything you did, especially during those tough times. Okay? Are there any additions or changes to the agenda?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Brian Hibbons, go ahead, sir.
Yes, sir. So, per our county manager's request, I would like to ask that we remove item 23807 from our consent agenda. That is the item that addresses NC DOT contract, Waxhaw Marvin, and Bonds Grove Church roads. I would, if appropriate, I would also ask that we table an item that is currently on the business portion of our agenda, and that would be item 23830, which is official participation in events of a prurient interest or adult nature. As I understand it, our state legislature is looking at an item that is somewhat similar that may have an impact to this item, and so I would prefer to table that for future discussion.
Okay, thank you, sir. All right, that were the revisions, the requested revisions on the consent agenda. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Mr. Chairman, make the motion to approve consent as amended.
Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. All right, we are now at the, I guess I probably need to make a motion on removing the other item from the business agenda. Any discussion on that? All in favor?
Aye.
All right, thank you. We're now at the business portion of our agenda. The next item on the agenda is item 23 819 concerning the Union County Jail project and its project delivery method. I will now recognize Assistant County Manager Clayton
Boyer.
Voynier. If you want to just call me JR, I'll call you Clayton.
Clayton's fine.
Clayton is
For
fine.
discussion of this item. Go ahead, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Mr. Chair, and good evening, Commissioners. For this agenda item, staff is going to be requesting you to take action tonight to approve the construction delivery method for the new jail project. Staff is recommending to approve the construction manager at risk, or CM at risk construction delivery method. We've used that on a number of recent projects, and we believe it provides the most benefit to the county. But before I ask that, I'm going to provide some background information on how we got to this point. Back in May, the board directed staff to bring back information on including a new jail project on a bond referendum for next year. So I'm going to go through some of those first actions that the board would have to take in order to do that. The other action is approval of, back in June, in the regular meeting, the board adopted the FY24 operating budget. And within that budget was $2 million in PAYGO capital for advanced planning services for the new jail project. And that includes site analysis, programming, and conceptual design. So based on that direction, staff moved forward with the understanding that the board wanted to move forward with the construction of the jail. And so one of the things preliminarily we have done is began solicitations for the designer. But tonight is actually the first action that the board would take to move this project forward. And so tonight we would be asking the board to approve the CM at risk construction delivery method. Assuming that were to happen tonight, we would come back to the board in March to approve that advanced planning services contract with the designer, and then in May of 2024 to approve pre-construction services for the CM at risk contract. Then beginning in June is when the board would take a series of actions to begin to initiate putting this on for a bond referendum. And all of this is governed by the Local Government Bond Act, and these specific bond procedures start out in General Statutes 159-50. So in June, you'll be adopting resolutions directing the publication of the notice of intent to apply to the Local Government Commission, authorize the finance officer, and make certain findings of fact related to the bond order. The next series of actions would happen in July of 2024, where the board would introduce the bond order, adopt the resolution, setting a public hearing on the bond order, as well as we would have at that point contracts for your approval for full design services. And then in August 2024, you would conduct the public hearing, adopt the bond order, and adopt the resolution setting a special bond referendum. So all of those are a series of actions that require for the board to take to get it to a bond referendum to be held on November 5th, 2024. There are some actions that have to occur after that. I'm not going to go into a lot of detail, but that gets us to the point of where it would be held for a bond referendum. We would come back to the board with a series of change orders and amendments to those designer and CM at risk contracts to get us to the point where we could begin site work in August of 2025 and building construction in January of 2026. And all of that assumes that all of that goes smoothly, right? That timeline goes smoothly, that projects are not held up because of any rebidding, that we have enough bids to evaluate. And so that is a timeline that is estimated at this point. So the action requested tonight is to begin this process to approve the use of the construction manager at risk delivery method for the new jail project. If you have any questions about the delivery method specifically, or detailed questions about the timeline, Chris Boyd, our facilities director, is here and can help answer those questions. Also, the sheriff's office is here to talk about needs or requirements related to the jail as well. So I'll be happy to answer any questions at this point.
Any discussion, Commissioner Richard Hale?
Well, I'd like to make a motion, we approve the use of the construction manager at-risk delivery method for the Union County Jail project.
Thank you, Commissioner Helms. Any discussion?
So we're asking for approval for construction manager at risk, but we have no information on what that dollar amount is going to be.
No, this is just to approve the method that we're going to use to deliver the project. We would have more information on that once we get through the advanced planning services and full design contracts, which you would have roughly in the July 2024 timeframe. So all of that would come back to the board for approval.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Chair. So Clayton, I've got some questions here. So this is only the delivery method. And if I recall correctly, in our May 15th meeting, this board did direct staff to come back with information required for an assessment of a bond referendum. And we had discussed GO bonds at that point in time, primarily because the interest rate can be had at a lower cost. But then there was also a feeling that we could turn around this whole thing more quickly. So I want to be clear to the public that what we're discussing tonight is not going to have any kind of negative impact on the financing method that we may press forward with in the future. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. And as I looked over our agenda packet, there was a couple of things that really kind of popped out to me. By all accounts, we really shouldn't be talking about having to build a new jail at this point. Jails and schools, for example, are facilities that should last quite some time, in my opinion, at least. I mean, we've got schools in this county that, were built in the 1960s, and this, well, yeah, perhaps even older than that. But this facility here was built in 1993. And it's also my understanding that the property that we used, and of course, we were under state order to build this, but that is in a floodplain. One of the things that I read in our agenda packet is that, there's potential for us to, at least in the scope of the new jail project, to build the new jail on the existing site. Is that, I've got a little bit of concern with that, the fact that what we're dealing with now with potential foundation issues for our jail, our current facility, if we go down that same site, then perhaps we might have similar issues. But to be clear, this item tonight has nothing to do with the scope of this project. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. And so the scope has not been developed at all at this point?
That's correct. That is part of that advanced planning services where we begin to develop a preliminary scope. Full design, again, would not come back for approval until about the July timeframe.
Okay. And I'm assuming that that the design work that we would contract with this method would take into consideration things like our growth rate, for example, our crime rate, and determine how many beds we would need based off of those and maybe some other factors. Do I understand that correct?
There would be a lot of other factors, but those would be part of the requirements that the Sheriff's Office will be communicating to our facility staff.
Okay.
That's correct.
And we are absolutely certain that our current jail facility is not expandable at this point?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. So the issue that we've got here is it capacity or is it conditions?
I think it's actually a combination, honestly. Certainly, as the county grows and as our inmate population grows, we are bumping up that as far as that population goes. But the facility itself is degrading quickly and has been for a number of years.
Okay. Yeah, and I want to be clear. I support our sheriff's office. Okay, and I want to be clear about that. And also support supplying the needs of our county. However, I also want to recognize that in the past, we've had to make some rush decisions with our current facility. And that, in my opinion, has had some detrimental effects. And so I think that whatever it is that we do, and I want to make this clear to our staff, I think that whatever it is that we do, we have to rein in that scope. Project Management 101, you start with a good scope, and it has to be reined in. And I think also that we've got to be very cognizant about how we go about paying for this and the overall cost of this project. We owe our taxpayers due diligence. And so I just want to put that out there for staff to consider, that we can't put the cart before the horse and repeat our past mistakes.
Certainly.
Any other discussion? All right, Commissioner Richard Helton's motion was to approve the use of the construction manager at risk delivery method for the Union County Jail project. How do you vote on that matter? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Nay.
All right. Thank you. Our next matter of business is item 23806, easement condemnation authority, 762 zone 24-inch water transmission main. I will recognize John Shutak, Engineering Division Director, for this item.
Chairman Rowell, Vice Chair Helms, congratulations on your election tonight. Commissioners, Mr. Manager, members of the management team, thank you for your time this evening. Tonight I'm going to be talking a little bit about our 762 pressure zone, the 24-inch transmission main, specifically easement acquisition. If any of you are having deja vu, that's because we've talked to you about this before. We were in front of you back in August talking about the same project with our remaining easement interests. The reason that we're back here tonight talking about this again and again requesting condemnation authority is because we had a property that was subsequently subdivided and turned into 3 properties, so we had to start our easement acquisition process again with those 3 properties. We've pursued that diligently over these last several months, and unfortunately we're back here again looking for your approval of the use of eminent domain because we've been unable to reach a settlement agreement with the property owner. But with that said, I just wanted to make sure everybody was on the same page there, that this wasn't just a repeat. Just want to talk a little bit about the project as a refresher, talk specifically about this project in the overview, where we stand with the project schedule, easement acquisition status, and then our requested action. So as you all know, the Yadkin program has a number of projects in it. The raw water infrastructure project and the finished water infrastructure project are related to the ongoing project to deliver water to Union County from the town of Norwood and Lake Tillery. Raw water project includes an intake and pump station on Lake Tillery and Norwood, and we've got a raw water transmission main that brings that water to Union County. To the finished water project, which includes the water treatment plant and the finished water transmission main. That finished water transmission main, as you know, has interconnects at 5 different locations to the existing distribution system: Old Camden Road, Morgan Mill, Sykes Mill, Highway 601, as well as Ridge Road. And the 762 pressure zone transmission main, the 24-inch line, was originally planned with the project. However, it was not included with the overall Yadkin program due to cost and budgetary constraints. This project consists of about 7.5 miles of pipe. It's 24 inches in diameter. It's got an overall program budget of about $35 million, and we are estimating the construction duration to be about 2 years. The project was first identified in the 2016 Water Master Plan update that was done by Black and Veatch, and it's in response to our changing water supply strategy. With the Yadkin plant coming online and our purchase water agreement with Anson moving to an emergency interconnect, we now are looking at having to construct a transmission main to address the water transmission capacity needs to supply our 762 pressure zone, and this is notably the Marshville and the Wingate areas. As I mentioned, the program budget is about $35 million, and that's through an earmark from the state budget, and these are ARPA dollars, just for everyone's reference. So where we stand with our schedule, we've completed final design and permitting as of August of this year, when we were in front of you last. Easement acquisition, as I mentioned previously, has continued on to this point. We're looking to advertise the project later this month, provided authorization from this board for the use of condemnation, at which point we would be looking at having an executed construction contract sometime in the March or spring timeframe of 2024. Construction would commence then between April of 2024, and we would wrap up the project by October of 2026. I would like to point out that construction must be completed by December of 2026 in order to comply with those ARPA funding requirements. So as you can see, we have enough time to get this done now, but it's a tight schedule. So we've only got a couple of months between October and December of 2026, and right now our critical path of the project schedule is through easement acquisition. Overall, we needed 72 easements. 45 of those have been acquired and recorded. At our August discussion, condemnation was approved for 24 of the remaining 27, and the remaining 3 have moved through that easement acquisition policy, been referred to our council for negotiation, and we are now, unfortunately, at this position again where we've been unable to reach that settlement agreement. So our request for the board tonight is to authorize condemnation for the remaining easement interests. This consists of 3 properties. You can see the parcel IDs there. And that is the end of my presentation on it. I'd be happy to answer any questions that you may have.
John, I've got Mr. Chair.
Go ahead, sir.
John, I've got a question. As far as these three properties here and the easements that we're talking about, just for clarity, we're talking about utility easements here, essentially?
That is correct.
And we're not like taking taking structures?
No, sir.
Okay. Just wanted to make sure that everyone was clear on that one. And without these 3, then this project will not be able to continue. Is that what I'm understanding here?
That
they
is
are in the
correct.
critical path, so that we have to have these 3 to continue on.
That is correct.
Thank you, sir.
Any other discussion? Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to adopt a resolution authorizing condemnation to acquire certain property or interest in property for a temporary construction easement and permanent utility easement for the 762 Zone 24-inch water transmission main and high service pump station project.
All in favor of Commissioner Merrill's motion, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Our next matter of business is item 23829, appointment of commissioners to board and committees. We all have a copy of the 2022-2023 list of the committees that the respective commissioners have served on. Would y'all like to continue serving on the same committees? Would you like to switch? Y'all let me know. Okay. And I will volunteer to serve on the committees that our former chair, Stony Russian, served on. So I'll pencil my name in there. Any further discussion on it? Okay, so the motion is that all of our current commissioners will continue to serve during the 2023-2024 year on the current committees that they served on in 2022 and 2023. Commissioner Rowell will serve on the committees that Chairman Stony Russian served on. Is there any discussion on that motion? All in favor? Say aye. Aye. Thank you.
We didn't add it to the agenda. It was not added.
Okay.
Can certainly choose to add that at this point if you wish to.
Okay. So we had a constituent that sent us a request. I don't know if staff can pull it up on the screen for the other commissioners, but it's a resolution for consideration for our board, Union County Commissioners, to support Israel and condemning terrorism. There's been a lot of discussion with ceasefires recently and releasing of hostages. And if everyone can see on the screen the resolution before us tonight to consider if this is something we would like to take up tonight, or we could certainly table it and bring it back at the December 18th meeting. I'm open to either one.
Any discussion? Any further discussion?
So I will make a motion to add this to our meeting tonight for consideration as a resolution from the Union County Board of Commissioners supporting Israel and condemning terrorism. So I formally make that motion to support Israel.
Any further discussion?
Mr. Chairman?
Go ahead, Commissioner Williams.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. You know, my orientation on all this is just to look at foreign policy from an American first perspective. You know, I am saddened at the attack on Israel that occurred in October, and the injuring and the killing of innocents, the hostages that were taken. You know, my heart indeed goes out to Israeli citizens, their families who were affected in that attack. But I'm not keen on this board inserting itself into, you know, these kinds of issues that we have no influence or control over. You know, we've got plenty of problems, challenges, if you want to call them that we can spend our time as a county addressing, and I just don't think this is one that we need to stir up. I mean, you know, I pray for peace. I'll support a resolution for peace in the region. But I'm not inclined to support this. I don't think Israel is our greatest ally, certainly. I mean, I think there are other nations you can look to that would better be described as our greatest ally, the United Kingdom for one. And, you know, when conflicts like this start with hatreds that run for centuries, you know, there's not just black and white, but there's a lot of gray area, and there are innocents on both sides that are the victim, I think, of violations of the rules of war. You know, I mean, innocents have to be protected when these kinds of operations occur, and I think the United States and I think Union County ought to withdraw more from support and involvement in these kind of issues abroad, and, you know, stop spending hundreds of billions of dollars on Israel and Ukraine and sending our own troops and aircraft carriers and battleships into regions all over the planet. You know, let's start dealing with and supporting, you know, the problems we have here and funding them. Again, my orientation on all this is really towards a more of America First perspective. that we take care of business at home. And as an individual citizen, as somebody who follows global and national stories like this, I mean, I absolutely support the right of Israel to go after Hamas and Hamas leadership. I mean, they've gotten very good at it in some of their covert and undercover operations, certainly. But, I'm not inclined to take, a stand as a county commissioner for Israel when there are tens of thousands of people in Gaza, entirely innocent, who are being killed too. Let's just, take a deep breath and not let our emotions get the best of us, and not insert ourselves as a county into an issue that we have, again, zero influence and control over. So that's my piece. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Chair?
Go ahead, Commissioner Brian Hill.
I'll say that I'm going to be in support of this. I believe that there are plenty of other counties and municipalities that have adopted similar resolutions to what's being shown here. And although I do agree with Commissioner Williams that there's not much that we can do from a foreign policy perspective, I do believe that we can at least send a statement that we do condemn these acts that occurred and feel as though they are wrong. And so I will be in support of it.
I would also like to reiterate that our state legislators voted on a similar resolution in Raleigh. So I will be supporting, obviously, the motion that I made.
Any further discussion? Commissioner Richard Hill.
I have to agree with Mr. Williams. Sometimes these things are brought up more from political fodder to make myself look good. I'm not concerned with that. I'm concerned with the people that are suffering in the Middle East. They have my sympathy. They have my understanding that they need to protect themselves, and I wish the best for those people of Israel. But I think this is a political motivation more so than a resolution to acknowledge that we support Israel. And so for that case, I will not vote for this.
Thank you, sir. County Manager Matthews.
Yes, sir. I just want to clarify that there's either two actions that need to occur. One, add the item to the agenda and a vote on that. And then second, an actual vote on the item if you choose to add it to the agenda, unless, of course, the motion were to include both in the motion, add and approve. But I don't think that was how the motion was made. I think the motion was made to add. So therefore, you have to take two actions, if I'm not mistaken, and Jason can confirm if I'm correct on that.
Yeah, I would confirm that as well, that the motion that's on the table is a motion to add an item to the agenda. Were that to pass, then a motion to approve it would be in order.
Okay, on the first part, any discussion on adding the motion onto the agenda?
Just a clarification. Doesn't the chair have within his discretion the ability to add an item to the agenda?
Once we are at the meeting, that's a motion of the board. The chair that can do that without objection from the board, but it's a board agenda at that point, so the board must add it.
Any further discussion on adding the item to the agenda? All right, we'll vote on that. All in favor of adding the resolution to the agenda?
Aye.
All right, we'll, as County Manager Matthews said, at this time, we will vote on the resolution. All in favor of the resolution?
Aye.
All opposed?
No.
All right, thank you. I'll now recognize County Manager Brian Matthews for his comments.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just have a couple of things just to update the board on. We did have some speakers talk about the fluoride discussion and issues with fluoride. We do intend on bringing that back to the board, I believe in January. One of the things that the board wanted us with some additional information, what other items, what other what other substances, chemicals do we put in our water? How is that treated in other areas around the country? Also, having some folks on both sides of the equation to come and speak to that. So we intend on having that brought back to the board in January to hold those discussions with you. Do keep in mind, of course, that we do share a water plant with another entity. So obviously, whatever your decision is, we have to take that into consideration. Also want to remind the board and also let the public know that we will be having a special meeting on December 14th. That I believe starts at 5:30, goes to approximately 8:30. That is particularly for water and sewer projects. We'll be having that discussion. And then we will also be bringing back to you the facility use policy to deal with how we handle allowing the public to use our facilities. It's my intention to bring that at the December 18th meeting.
Thank you, sir. It's now time for the commissioners' comments. Y'all have heard me talk the whole meeting. That's all I need to say. Commissioner Romero.
I would just like to say congratulations and thank you for stepping up to be our new chair for this board. Congratulations to Commissioner Helms and to you, JR. I look forward to working with you both in this leadership role. And I just want to wish everyone a joyous season as we enter into the month of December. And I just wish everyone health and happiness.
Commissioner Brian Helms.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I would just like to say thank you. Thank you to Commissioner Merrill. Commissioner Rao had touched on this earlier, but, we 1 year ago, we voted for Commissioner Merrill to be our vice chair. And I don't think that anyone could have predicted the role that she would have to step into, one that she didn't ask for, but one that she certainly delivered on. And I think that we're very fortunate to have her on our board, first and foremost, but also to have served in the capacity of our chair for almost half a year. So I would like to thank Commissioner Merrill for your efforts and your leadership. And I would also like to, of course, thank our staff, and I will echo Commissioner Merrill's sentiments too, that, as we draw closer to the Christmas holiday, I pray that we never really forget what Christmas is all about. So God bless you, and thank you.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner David Williams.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to join Commissioners Merrill and Brian Helms in offering my congratulations to you, Chairman Rowell, and to you, Vice Chairman Helms. I'd just like to say that we've got a lot of problems that need addressing in the county. Call them problems, call them challenges, but the list is long and growing, and some of the problems are pretty deep in nature, from funding of necessary capital projects, both on the government side, general government side, as well as the water and sewer enterprise side. We've got the SPCC Center for Entrepreneurship that's going to need funding. The public approved that bond, and we've got to find funding streams for it so we can build it. We've got Catawba expansion coming at us. Our partners in Lancaster County are going to be expecting us to work with them on that. We've got hundreds of millions of dollars in capital projects that we all agree are needed. None of them have to do at all with capacity increases that need to be funded. We've got projects that are happening right now that require us going to the capital markets, and we need a rate structure. We need a rate structure that will allow us to go to capital markets and borrow those monies. We've got an EMS service that needs some serious attention to it. We've got big vacancies with EMS. It's not that we as a county aren't training people, but we are. But we need to have a real serious conversation about EMS. We need, in my opinion, to get Atrium representatives before us in this room to talk about the state of EMS and how we make it better. I won't go through the list because it's long. But we've got a lot of problems and challenges to address. And let me just say to the new chair and the new vice chair, to the extent you are focused to address and solve these problems, I will be a willing and happy partner with you in doing just that. Just a couple more quick items. I'd like to thank the folks from the public who came and spoke in informal comments tonight. Those comments are always appreciated. Let's see, I believe that's Ms. Prado, Ms. Sanders, Mr. Schumacher, Ms. Burrows. Thank you again. And last but not least, I extend wishes for happy holidays and Merry Christmas to my colleagues, to county staff, and to all the citizens of Union County. May you have a very blessed Christmas and good times with friends and family. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner Richard Helms.
Yes, I'd like to congratulate Mr. Rowell on his being elected chairman, and Brian Helms for being elected vice chair. I look forward to your leadership and look forward to working with you. On a lighter note, I observed earlier one of our former chief deputies here, and I want to congratulate him because he got married this weekend. He and Candy have been engaged for a while, and I know the photographs I saw of their wedding, they were extremely happy. So congratulations, Todd and Candy. We'll be praying for continued best wishes for you as a couple. For that,
Thank you,
I'll
sir.
say good night.
Thank you, sir. That concludes this regular meeting. Thank you for all who attended. I move that the board adjourn. All those in favor of the motion say aye. Aye. Thank you.